Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa with Marco and welcome to VCABS. Now, the first misconception about retractable leads is that we can often think that we are providing more freedom for our dogs simply because we're allowing them to move further and further away from us and have a sniff and investigate and let them do what they'd like to do in that situation. But what we're actually doing is we're encouraging our dogs to pull on the leash, and that's simply by virtue of us actually pressing the button after our dog pulls, and then when we press the button, of course, the lead's going to extend. That's actually reinforcing behaviour and inadvertently rewarding our dogs for walking away from us. And what we really want to do is reward our dogs for approaching us. That means that we're going to have a much better chance of and success of actually getting our dog's attention and diverting their attention back to us and their focus back to us and getting them to a safe place if we need to, in the event that something unpredictable happens. Now, the other thing is that it's very confusing for our dogs when they're on leash, but we're actually mimicking an off-leash situation and simply letting them walk further and further away from us, increasing the distance away from us as if they weren't on a leash. And that's really confusing because this sort of situation provides no consistency, and it doesn't help our dog to understand that really it's acceptable that they have basic on-leash manners. And I'd also like you to think about that, because if your dog isn't able to walk nicely and have basic on-leash manners when they're wearing just a standard flat leash, then we really need to take a step back and start thinking about ways that we actually need to address that, because it's really important for our dogs to be able to walk nicely in different situations on a flat standard leash, and it's very important that we're able to get our dogs' focus and be able to divert them to different situations, divert them away from potentially stressful situations or situations that may actually escalate into something that's not very optimal for our dog or us. So there's a number of hidden hazards that I really want to talk about, and it's irrespective of whether the retractable lead simply attaches to a collar or is actually attached to a harness. Of course, there can be much more damage done to a delicate neck when the retractable lead is attached directly to the collar, and I would absolutely avoid that in any case. If you decide that after seeing this video, you still are going to persist with using retractable leads, please do not use it with a collar. You're just going to be putting yourself in situations where you may end up in an unpredictable situation that could actually result with damaging consequences for yourself and your dog. So I would implore you to actually completely avoid using a retractable lead with your dog's collar, attaching just to your dog's collar. So look, some of these retractable leads extend up to 5 to 8 metres in length. And when we consider that dogs can move away very quickly, particularly when they've been startled, or particularly when they've actually seen something that's very stimulating, or even when somebody has whizzed past us on a skateboard or a bicycle, even other dogs that might be running with their humans, they might have roller skates on, and we may not have heard them behind us. Even just cyclists that sometimes on shared footpaths and in different public places, not everybody has the courtesy, shows the courtesy of actually signalling to us when they're arriving and to warn us that they're actually coming up behind us. And that's, sometimes that can be cyclists, and it's not just restricted to humans walking their dogs. So it's not just the potential dangers of somebody having their dog off leash and their dog running over to your dog that can cause an unpredictable situation to escalate. It can be just other humans that don't have dogs that are actually using different means of transport on a shared pathway or bikeway. So dogs can move pretty quickly. They can move erratically, and if you consider if you've got something that's on your left-hand side and your dog's been sniffing on the right-hand side, and then actually is startled and runs across your path, you have the potential to trip over, get entangled. Your dog has a potential to get entangled, and these cords are very thin, they're rope-like, and not only can they cause lots of rope-like burns to bare legs and skin, they can also have the potential to sever fingers if they do get entangled, and we have a situation where a dog is exerting force on that lead and we've got a finger trapped in the rope. So there are some potentially serious consequences with these retractable leads. Now, the other thing is that the mechanism, this is a spring-loaded mechanism, of course, because it needs to allow the lead to extend and retract. But that wears over time, every time it's being used. And it also has the potential to snap. And if you're in close vicinity to your dog when it snaps, then you also have the potential to be injured with the metal flying back into your person. So that's something that is hidden, and not a lot of people actually think about that. And of course, the cord is quite thin and can break very easily. And if we consider that we might have a large dog that's on the end of that leash, if they're moving very quickly and the cord snaps, then it also has a potential not just to cause damage to your dog's neck and also their spine, the soft tissues of the upper airway and the deeper tissues like the trachea can also end up with nasty lacerations and damage, which is particularly life-threatening for your dog. So there are some very real damaging consequences with these types of equipment. And again, anything can happen when you're out with your dog. So being prepared and being vigilant is really important whenever you're out walking with your dog, particularly when you have an extended length of lead. And this brings me on to the next point, is that the other really big hazard is the human on the other end of the leash itself, because the retractable leads, and this is my opinion as well, I believe that retractable leads actually foster an attitude of laziness when we're walking our dogs on these leads. And that's because we think we can just be on our phone texting or talking or having a conversation with somebody as we're walking along, and our dog can wander off, up to 5 to 8 metres away from us, and then before you know it, something's happened and we're actually not in a close enough range to get our dog's attention or intervene in a situation, and things can happen and be over and done with, and before you know it. So I would actually say that is one of the overriding hazards, is of course the human that is using that piece of equipment. And we can't blame the dog in those situations, because of course we are the guardians for our dogs. We are the ones that control what they do. We're the ones that give them the choices or take their choices away from them. And so it really is up to us to be a guardian for our dog, not an owner. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like the video and share the video, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, and don't forget to check out the links in the description below for more videos related to this subject, and also on a really interesting structured activity that you can do with your dog. Okay, so that's about it for this video from Marco and me. Till next time, remember, stay positive. Thanks for watching.